Oh my god, this camera module is so huge. I can literally hold the phone like this. So today I have with me Vivo's most premium and most ambitious smartphone yet, the Vivo X300 Ultra. And honestly, I think Vivo has not just made the best camera phone, but possibly the best phone ever. And no, I am not exaggerating, nor is this clickbait. What makes this even more exciting is that unlike previous Vivo Ultra phones, the X300 Ultra has launched globally and is not just limited to China anymore. However, this phone does not come cheap. In fact, it is more expensive than the iPhone 17 Pro Max and the Galaxy S26 Ultra by quite a margin. Anyway, let me start with the unboxing, and inside the box we get this phone in this gorgeous green color option, a good quality color matching case, a 100-watt PPS charger, some paperwork and a SIM ejector tool. Okay, the first thing I instantly noticed here is just how big this camera module is. In fact, I can literally pick up the phone like this, just like this. So yeah, if you thought the X300 Pro's camera module was already huge, Vivo has taken things to a whole new level here. And the reason this camera module is so big is, of course, because it has huge camera sensors. First, the main camera here uses a new 200 megapixel Sony LYT-901 sensor. This is the first time we're seeing a 200 megapixel sensor from Sony. Until now, 200 megapixel sensors were mostly Samsung's thing. Then comes the ultra-wide camera, and this is where things get even crazier. Vivo is using the 50 megapixel Sony LYT-818 sensor here, which is the biggest ultra-wide sensor we have ever seen on a smartphone. The third lens is also another 200 megapixel sensor with 3.7x optical zoom, but this one's from Samsung and it is a slightly refined version of what we saw on the Vivo X300 Pro and the X200 Ultra. And if you compare the sensor of all of these three cameras used on this phone, they are actually similar in size. So on most flagship phones, the moment you switch from the main 1x camera to the ultra-wide, the quality drops, right? Especially in low light, the difference becomes even more obvious. But with the Vivo X300 Ultra, every lens almost delivers the same level of quality, even in the most challenging conditions. And because this ultra-wide camera is already so good and so detailed, even when you zoom in, Vivo can afford to do something different with the main camera. Just like last year's X200 Ultra, the main camera here uses a 35mm focal length instead of the usual 23mm or 24mm focal lengths that all phones use for their main camera. Honestly, I really like this decision. If you're someone who's into street photography, this 35mm focal length gives you a unique perspective. Just check out some of these beautiful photos that I captured with it, and also the portrait of this kid. Doesn't it look amazing? And since this is a large sensor, you also get very nice natural depth. I compared the X300 Pro and the X300 Ultra side by side, and you can clearly see that the Ultra gives you a much shallower depth of field, which helps the subject stand out a lot more. Another thing that's very underrated about Vivo's phones is the natural color science and the balanced contrast they produce. That said, one thing I did notice is that this phone is still running on an early software version, so at times the exposure and dynamic range can feel a little inconsistent. I do think that one or two more updates will polish this further, and that is exactly why I am not doing a full review just yet. Okay, now let's talk about this 200 megapixel telephoto lens that we have loved for years on Vivo phones. Vivo has been improving this lens a lot over a couple of years, and we already know just how good this telephoto camera is for portraits. The skin tones, the colors, the bokeh it produces, and Vivo's collaboration with Zeiss all come together really well here. I genuinely think that this is the best portrait camera available in the smartphone market right now. And it is also incredibly fast. The shutter speed on the telephoto lens is just so quick, and Vivo's optimization is so good that even with moving subjects, you will still get really nice, sharp portraits. Plus, this telephoto lens is just not great for portraits, but you can also take some amazing macro photos with it. It captures a lot of detail and it can focus from really close as well. And because this is a 200 megapixel telephoto camera instead of the usual 50 megapixel zoom lens we see on phones from Samsung or Apple, you can get almost optical light clarity even at 10x or 15x. That said, I have just received the Oppo Find X9 Ultra and I think that phone might edge out Vivo when it comes to zoom. Do subscribe to my channel if you would like to watch that full comparison. Oh, and I almost forgot to tell you, this year we also get a 400mm telephoto extender. It is a pretty big telephoto extender with which you can zoom in so much further. Now, photography has always been Vivo's strong point, but this time what really surprised me is how they have improved the video side as well. With the 35mm main lens, videos get this really nice natural blur, almost like what you would expect from a much more expensive mirrorless camera. And because of that focal length, that perspective also feels a lot more cinematic and different from what you usually get on smartphones. Likewise, this ultra-wide camera is also seriously impressive, especially in low light, thanks to the huge sensor Vivo is using here. Another thing that genuinely surprised me is how smooth the transition is when switching between lenses while recording videos. I think this is the best lens switching I have seen on an Android phone so far, and it comes very close to what the iPhone does. And overall, the video quality itself looks really good. I can also shoot 4K 120fps from all of the three lenses, and heck, I can even import custom LUTs while shooting log videos. And check this out, Vivo's Pro video mode has also improved quite a lot with this new layout. Sadly, the selfie camera here seems slightly downgraded. It is not as wide as the one on the Vivo X300 Pro, and the aperture is narrower as well. So yes, there is a small downgrade here. Okay, I think I've been talking about the cameras for 7 to 8 minutes now, but what about the rest of the phone then? Well, the first thing you will notice as soon as you pick up the X300 Ultra is its enormous size. It is not just taller compared to the X300 Pro, but just look at the thickness as well. It feels noticeably thicker than the X300 Pro. But I have to say, I really love this design, especially this green color variant that I have with me with its dual tone finish. Still, it is definitely thicker, wider and heavier compared to the X300 Pro. But the build quality is just great. We get all kinds of IP certifications and a pretty robust build. Upfront, we get an upgraded display compared to the X300 Pro. It has 144Hz refresh rate instead of just 120Hz, plus higher resolution, so we get much better pixel density here. The display colors are really nice, and it gets super bright too, especially when I was taking a lot of photos and videos with this phone. I never felt like the display was the problem. I also found the speakers to be louder, they're fuller and clearer compared to the X300 Pro, but what really surprised me is the haptics. They are so strong that I actually had to dial them down from the settings. As for performance, the X300 Pro had the Dimensity 9500, which is already a flagship chipset from MediaTek, but the X300 Ultra goes with the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 chip. Still, I don't think there is going to be a huge difference in day-to-day usage. Both the Dimensity 9500 and the 8 Elite Gen 5 are amazing. And finally, for battery, we get a slightly bigger 6600 mAh battery here, and in my initial testing, I was getting around like 9 to 10 hours of screen on time, which is really solid. So yeah, overall, I am really glad to see the Vivo X300 Ultra and the Oppo Find X9 Ultra phones launching globally this year. And honestly, in my opinion, the Vivo X300 Pro and the X300 Ultra have the best camera system in the market right now. I have already switched to this phone as my primary phone, so I will be testing it a lot more. Let's wait for a few more updates, and then I will bring you a full review along with plenty of comparisons. So stay tuned for that. Subs if you like this video, and until then, I am Pratima and I will see you soon. Bye everyone.